This week on the StressLess Camping RV Podcast, we're going to New England.
Yeah, and we're going with two guys who are spokespeople for RVing in New England, Bob Zagami and John DiPietro.
We've got some insider RVing tips on places to stay, eat, and see.
Yeah, but not zipline. Then we speak with author Dawn Barclay, who has researched places where crime has happened in New England. In her book, Vacations Can Be Murder.
Don't worry, you'll still want to go, whether it's for the lobster rolls or the macabre.
We have this week's podcast along with the notes and all the discounts, deals, and everything at our home on the web at StressLessCamping.com.
Don't forget to like and share, and thank you for joining us for episode 305.
Am I Tony? Oh, yeah, I am.
You're Tony, and I'm Peggy.
Ooh, doggies.
And we're two RV industry veterans who travel part-time in a Rockwood Mini Light, looking to share big adventures and help you with great tips,
Tricks,
and discounts.
Yes. It's back.
Backside?
Oh, man. No wonder we're the butt of some people's jokes.
RVers have been asking again recently about RV toilet paper, and we have the answer. So we're going to put a link to our article about that. And we also did a review of an RV bidet.
Yes, we did. So
that helps on toilet paper use.
Yes, it does. Whether you're a big guy or just a little squirt.
Oh my goodness. I'm glad you said guy, because so many other words would have fit there.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
Yikes.
Wow. We are just off to a great start this week, aren't we? But that doesn't negate the fact that we have two real good friends of the show who have decided to come on and share some tips for RVing in New England.
Yeah.
So we've been following our friends Jason and Abby, and they got a system from ABC Upfitters, a solar and lithium system, and have been doing some epic boondocking. And gosh, the photos have been great. So while we're sitting at home, basically using our solar and lithium system to run the fridge in the RV, they're out using the solar and lithium system to enjoy this beautiful country. And
we'll get out there. We'll get out there next month.
Yeah. And so anyway, if having a great solar and lithium system from a company that does exceptional professional installations is something that has appealed to you, or if you're tired of trying to figure it all out yourself, our friends at ABC Upfitters, they do a great job installing high quality Master Volt power systems.
They use all Master Volt parts, so everything talks to each other. Everything works together seamlessly. There's not one, pointing fingers. Well, you didn't use the right connectors or the right whatever. It's all made by Master Volt. So it all works together. And if that appeals to you, you should try giving our friends at ABC Upfitters a call at 574-333 What is it? 3225.
Oh, gosh. That's 574-333-3225. And we have interviews with them and more information linked in the show notes at StressLessCamping.com.
So as Tony said, we have a couple of great friends that joined us this week. Well, we have 3 people who joined us this week, which was kind of unusual.
New friend and a couple of old friends. Not that Bob and John are old, mind you.
We didn't
say that. Long-time friends.
So we're going to hear from Bob and John about places to eat, things to see, places to RV in New England.
We have the distinct pleasure, honor, and privilege. Now, see, who do I introduce first? We have our good friends Bob Zagami and John DiPietro. But we also have John DiPietro and Bob Zagami. And since we have not been yet to New England, and we have an author who talked about New England this episode, we wanted firsthand, straight information on things we should do as RVers in New England, inside tips or anything like that. So, gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you for hanging out with us today.
So thanks, guys. So does that mean one of the items can't be to stay home? You're assuming everybody's going to come to New England?
Well, you don't get to see much.
No, don't stay home.
You want to know what you want to do when you come to New England, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the highlights, the must-sees, and maybe hidden gems? Because, there's always like the big stuff, but we also like finding the weird, the different, the goofy.
You got three distinct seasons to deal with, and the answer that we give you is going to depend upon when you plan on traveling to New England, because if you want to be up here in the spring, like we are just RVing 2 days ago, and woke up and it was 46 degrees in the RV with a wind chill of 34, that's one thing. If you want to be here in the summertime, where you can go to the beaches and get fried like a lobster. Not that you fry a lobster, but without the proper suntan lotion, you would be a lobster. And in the fall is the big RV time, because that's when all of the RV companies send their tours here for the foliage stuff.
Oh,
So,
right.
Be more specific, and we'll be more specific.
Well, look, for starters, I'm hungry. So a good New England lobster roll in Maine is a definite 12 months out of the year. So no matter when you want to go. So if you like a hot buttered lobster roll, you go to Eventide downtown Portland. You wait about an hour to get in any time of the day that you go there. It is a tourist trap, but it's the best lobster roll. And if you like the hot buttered lobster roll. Now, if you like the cold mayonnaise lobster roll, you go to Two Lights Clam Shack at Two Lights in South Portland, and you can bring your own bottle there. You can sit outside. There's a small area inside. You sit on picnic benches outside and on the rocks overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, and the cruise ships come in and out, so you can see the cruise ships come in and out. And I like DeMillo's in Portland. They've got a 5-star chef for the last 8 years. They really turned the restaurant around. It's an old ship. It's the largest ship conversion to a restaurant in the United States. And it's right on the Portland Harbor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, seafood is definitely something that New England is known for, of course. Those are some good tips.
Yeah.
That's because 3 of the states are on the ocean. No, wait a minute. Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Maine. So 4 of the 6 New England states.
New Hampshire.
No, actually, New Hampshire, too.
They have to beat you. 5 of the 6.
Vermont is the only New England state that doesn't have a coastline.
Now, if you go the other spectrum, and you really like the outdoors, we see so much now about millennials and Gen Zs and boondocking and off the grid, then Vermont is probably, of our 6 states, I'd say Vermont and Maine are 2 great states for hiking, climbing mountains, and the like.
Tony, ask Zagami how many mountains he's climbed.
No, then we'd have to admit our own answer too.
Same number as me.
Wait a minute, do molehills count? And by the way, Tony, it's not like John is up in the mountains every week.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, well, I think the 4 of us are all have about the same mountain climbing credits.
But we do recognize that people like it. So where in those states, if it's great for hiking, where would people go to look to boondock somewhere?
And is there much boondocking there?
There's not much boondocking in New England compared to the west and the middle of the country. I mean, we've got Acadia, you can't go inside and do boondocking. They got an exterior road that can go around, but I don't think they allow any boondocking there. Baxter State Park in Maine, I bet that's up near Acadia. I'll bet that has some good boondocking. Similar to our mountain skills, our boondocking skills leave a little bit to be desired also.
No. I boondocked Saturday night. Now, keep in mind one thing. We're taping this the last week of April, and most of the main campgrounds don't open until like May 15th.
Oh, interesting.
But we wanted to get up there
Yeah, you got to be May 15th, and also they close on Columbus Day, which is around October 12th or 15th.
Right.
We have some, but that's the season. If you're coming out to New England in the summertime, that's the season. Really, May 1st to middle of October.
Is it difficult to get reservations because of how short the season is, or
not anymore? Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. There's a ton of campgrounds.
Yeah.
However, let's go back to that boondocking thing before all of you rudely interrupted me. On Friday, we had nothing to do. So I said to my wife, there's a dealership up in northern New Hampshire that's having an open house on Saturday. Let's head up there Friday night and hit a couple casinos along the way. So that's what we did. And we ended up staying at a rest area. But it was a service rest area. It had a big gas station and restaurants at it just north of Manchester, New Hampshire. So it was safe. It had its own designated RV parking. If I'm going to boondock, I don't like to be out wide open with no one around. So I like other people around. And we can pretty much sleep anywhere with any kind of noise. So I like this rest areas, and they're pretty plentiful up there.
And they let you overnight in the rest areas there? Because I know some states do and some states don't.
Yeah. The ones that we were at, no problem. Here's the thing, Tony and Peggy. Don't put out your slides. Don't put out lawn chairs. Don't put out your awning. You're not there.
You're talking about if you're in a commercial parking lot. If you're in the middle of the woods, you can put out whatever you want.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, but we don't go in the middle of the woods to boondock.
Oh, you're talking you're the way you boondock. Okay.
Right. And if we stay at a Walmart, we don't take more than one spot. We don't put out the slides. Now, keep in mind, some people have units that in order to access the bed, you have to put the slide out. But put the slide out over the curb and not over another parking space. Because you don't want somebody driving around the corner and ripping your slide off.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right. Can I take a step back?
Sure.
I hesitated on the name of that place. It is the Lobster Shack at Two Lights, because you can see two lighthouses from there. But
cool.
That's our favorite outdoor place. And they have fantastic fried food, too, and seafood. And by the way, we should caution people, if you're coming to New England and Maine, much like a lot of other cities, Portland, Maine is a foodies city. People come from all over the world to go to Portland, Maine. Now, if you go to DeMillo's this year, which is right on the waterfront, for a fisherman's platter, you're going to pay $44. So lobster could cost you anywhere from $50 to $100.
And another thing with New England is let's use Portland and let's use Burlington as two examples.
Yep.
Burlington, Vermont, and Portland, Maine. The restaurants have New York prices. They don't have New England prices. Now, if you want some value, you find the hole-in-the-wall diner or luncheonette in any of the small towns.
Airport diner by the airport, by Manchester Airport?
Single ownership in one location.
Yeah. Well, in Portland, it kind of goes against the tide a little bit, but Becky's Diner in Portland is, they got everything under the sun.
Yeah.
Good service. But again, you'll wait on a Sunday morning, you'll wait an hour to get in for breakfast. So you can't rush things up here, because Portland, most people don't know this, Portland gets 225 cruise ships a year in Portland. 225. And some of them come back 3 and 4 times, like Anthem of the Seas and Ocean Seas, and some really big ones. And there are days, in fact, if you're up there, the first thing you want to do in the morning, if you're outside of Portland, is say, let's go to Portland for the day, call up the Portland Cruise Port on the internet and see how many ships are in that day. Because if 3 ships are in and they're big,
that's
it
10,000
will 10,000 people that day in addition to the regular people who were going to go there and didn't know it.
Yeah.
So you really want to be cautious about that. Know when the ships are coming in. Then you go to the other end of that, to Bar Harbor. John, tell them about Bar Harbor, because you've been up there more than I have.
Yeah, well, Bar Harbor is a real tiny town. And interestingly, you bring up the cruise ships, Bob, because the people that own the shops in town didn't want the cruise ships there because they don't buy things. They don't go to the restaurants because they're paid for their food on the ship. So they come in, they might buy an ice cream cone or a beer, but the restaurants don't want them. So
it makes it much more crowded without supporting the local merchants.
Right. Exactly. And they just passed an ordinance there. Any ship over 1,500 passengers, which is 99% of all the big cruise ships, is not allowed to come to Portland.
No, they have to stay outside, and they have to use the dinghy or the little ferry on the cruise
Now they
ship.
don't even want them in there.
Well, they don't even want that. No.
If you look, those ships, they all bypass Bar Harbor and they go up to Nova Scotia. And they don't even come to, because they can't come into the harbor anyway. But the Chamber of Commerce said, we don't want any business.
Good. That makes more room for the RVers then, right?
Let me give you two gems if you have kids. Actually, they're good for adults too, but if you have kids, in the main mall, in the main shopping mall,
M-A-I-N-E.
M-A-I-N-E, which is in South Portland. There is a furniture store. It's called Jordan's Furniture. They have, certainly in New England, the largest indoor rope climbing experience. Nets and tents and rope climbing. What do they call those things? Jungle mazes and what have you. Inside the store. Kids could, literally stay there all day. And then if you get hungry, they got food around there. And if you like to do the adventure stuff outside, there is a animal park and amusement park in York Beach. York Beach is one of the most popular areas, but in that area there is the York Wild Animal Park, and they have a bunch of amusements for kids up to about teenage side. And it's off on the side roads, but it's a good place to spend a day and not expensive at all on that.
So that's cool.
So in Portland, are there many RV places to stay, or is it more like you're outside the city? Like if you have your RV, is it reasonable to think you camp and you'd have to drive into town or bicycle or public transit? Or
great point.
Desert Island up in Freeport. Now Freeport, the desert island is on the left. It's literally a desert in the middle of Maine. Now you could bike into Freeport for that. Old Orchard Beach, where we used to have our park model, that's 15 minutes south of Portland, and there's a ton of campgrounds there.
Big campgrounds, 400 or 500 unit. Parks.
Oh, wow.
Within 50 miles of, we use our dealer up there, Seacoast RVs, and they like to only sell and service within 50 miles of the dealership. Because if they sell one in Connecticut and they have to go service it, you could service 10 people in the 50-mile radius versus one person in Connecticut.
Right.
So there are plenty of campgrounds up there. I'd say the best one might be Sandy Pines Campground in Kennebunkport. There you can walk downtown Kennebunkport, and great restaurants and a great breakfast place there. I forget the name of it, but the great breakfast place there.
You got Bailey's, B-A-Y.
Oh, Bailey's, that's the other one I was thinking of.
B-A-Y, not B-A-I, but B-A-Y-L-E-Y-S campground. And that's 400 or 500 spots. And
everything from pop-ups. Actually, do they have tents, John?
Oh, yeah, they take tents.
I know Sandy Pines has tents, and most Sandy Pine Campground and Bailey's Camping Resort have everything from pop-up to glamping tents.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they have cabins, lots of cabins there.
Yeah.
So, you can almost do You could almost do another show just on camping without a camper too, because most of the properties in New England now have some type of accommodation that you can camp at without owning a camper.
Okay.
Yeah, that's more and more. I know those KOA reports, they always talk about how popular those are. And it makes sense. If you're an RVer, you could maybe have your family join you.
But it's good to know some of them might be named resort, but still, you know, a lot of times, in my experience, if you see the word resort, you're going to have only Class A kind of, fancy.
No, I don't think we don't have any of the Class A resorts in New England.
Okay.
So even, the best campground in New England and probably east of the Mississippi is Normandy Farms Family Camping Resort. Now they've got everything under the sun, including a 3-acre dog park. They got a day spa. They got adult pools with bars. They've got everything under the sun. And here's how popular they are. In March, they opened up the reservation line for 2026.
Oh, wow.
If you think you're going to go in 2025, you're probably not. And if you don't get in on 2020, now they have cancellations, and we always tell people call the morning of because somebody canceled something on there. But that and Sandy Pines, those are the two Bailey's, Sandy Pines, and Normandy Farms in Massachusetts. In New Hampshire, there's a hidden gem in Weare, New Hampshire, and it's Weare, New Hampshire, and it's Cold Springs Camping Resort. Now, this is an interesting one because it's owned by the Silva family, and Scott Silva runs the RV dealership. Todd Silva runs the campground, 5 pools, 5-star campground, probably 20 miles west of Concord, New Hampshire. And in there, they have, we call it is the only true one-stop dealership that we have. Now, when we talk about a one-stop dealership in New England, they have the dealership, the RV dealership, the campground. They have a collision and body shop. They have a professional paint shop. They have a separate service maintenance building, and they do RV storage.
Wow.
They got you covered.
Yeah, that's where we went Saturday morning for their open house and got totally rained out.
Was it rained out?
Totally rained out. Torrential rain.
Bummer.
Did you get a chance to see Scott or Ray?
No, Ray was tied up and Scott wasn't there.
Ray is always tied up. It's we love that dealer, but every time you go there, they are busy, and they're I won't call it old fashioned, but they really focus on the customer. So when you go on their lot, you do not have to check into a gate. You don't have to sign your life away before you can. You have to sit down with a salesman first. All the units in the lot every day are open. You can spend, you can go there, spend the whole day looking at RVs, and if you don't want to talk to a sales rep, you don't have to.
Wow.
It's a great atmosphere. And then you think about it, you have the campground up there. If the kids are in the pool for 2 or 3 hours, Dad's probably going to go down and look at RVs, right? So several of these people come to the campground in one RV and they leave in a new RV. They had no intention of buying a new RV.
That's a brilliant idea. That was one of my jobs when I was working at the dealership. I was always not always, but usually the first one in. None of the other people wanted to be the first one in because you had to go and unlock all the doors.
Yeah.
So I was with that, the board of keys, unlocking all the trailers so people could go and wander through them.
But it sounds like this dealership is a lot bigger than yours was.
They probably have more than one board of keys.
If you like history, you can't beat Boston. I know Philadelphia is pretty famous, and there are no campgrounds in Boston. John, tell them our favorite campground outside of Boston.
Yeah. There's the Spacious Skies Minuteman campground. It's in
Littleton,
just outside of Route 128. The thing is this:
495.
495. I'm sorry. Do not attempt to drive into Boston with an RV because you won't drive out with it.
I've heard the drivers are pretty aggressive, and of course it's an old city.
Yeah.
The streets are narrow, and there are no. We figured out there is no intersection in Boston that has right-hand turns. I mean, that is a square intersection. They jut off here and they jut off there, and there's intersections with 8 roads all coming into one.
Well, the other thing that's great about Minuteman Spacious Skies is there is a public consumer train station within a few miles. So you just drive to the consumer station, train goes right downtown Boston, you visit Boston, visit the restaurants, go to North End for some good Italian food. And
that's
you
perfect.
The day, you hop on the train, the kids fall asleep by the time they get back to the campground. They're normal human beings again because they haven't gone crazy. And we don't have many campgrounds. I mean, it's ideally located. Now, if you're crazy enough to drive in your car, if you're towing a car, then you're close to the Mass Pike. So 495, you go south, and you can go to the Mass Pike, or you can go north to Route 93, and the Mass Pike goes straight into Boston. 93 goes right down into Boston. So you can still enjoy Boston and the historical items. What about Rhode Island, John?
The same thing, a lot more coastline, smaller state, but so many options.
Well, tell me, Connecticut, you go boondocking the casino.
Yeah, well, boondocking, you go to the 2 biggest casinos in the entire United States at Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods. And Foxwoods just opened a huge, in fact, just 2 days ago, a Great Wolf Lodge. So they are becoming a family destination now. And you can go zip lining off their 28-story tower down to the parking lot. Zip lining. I haven't done that yet, Tony and Peggy. So
I was going to say, I could just see you.
Let's all count how many times we've each been zip lining.
Yeah.
We put that in the column with the mountain climbing.
No,
right.
Both of those casinos have excellent restaurants, not just casino restaurants, but they have branded restaurants like pizza shops. And they got a lot of those Wolfgang Puck and who's the other guy? All the people you see on the Cooking Channel. Michael Jordan has a restaurant there.
Bobby Flavin or Bobby Plays.
You can boondock in those casino parking lots.
And you can boondock overnight at no cost.
If you're laid back and you really do want to relax a little bit more, Vermont is good for that. They don't have a lot of multi-function campgrounds, and they have more that are on the rustic side rather than, and people, that showed up in the KOA report this year too. I mean, people like the rustic ones. They don't like all the fancy stuff or the pools with, 1,000 kids in them. If you want to go, and that's how Spacious Skies in Minuteman is. In the middle of the woods, back far enough from the highway, but you're not going to find a lot of glitz and glitter and fancy things to do. So Vermont, if you want to do that, very low key and lovely people. But,
so Bob, they've only asked us one question, and we've gone on for 30 minutes.
Well, this is fantastic.
That's okay. That's what we were actually kind of hoping for here. That's what we planned
this
on.
This is good because they have all those other boring guests on. They go through that, and all of a sudden they have you and I on.
There you go.
We made their day. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it did, and it feels like a Wednesday night in some ways.
Yeah, we haven't talked about New Hampshire. Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire is the largest lake in New Hampshire, I believe. It's got to be. A lot of boating. So if you take a boat along with you, or you want to rent a boat, then you can rent motors. You can rent pontoon boats.
Now, that's freshwater boating. You've also got the seacoast, where you can go out into the ocean.
Yep.
So you've got both there in New Hampshire. So Maine used to be part of Massachusetts or something like that.
Here's an RV unit tip. Most people don't know this. If you are in a Class A or a diesel pusher, you're going to look far and wide for some really good service. So if you're in Maine, in Saco, Maine, which is about less than a half hour from Portland area, that's one of our better RV dealers in NERBDA, and they have diesel mechanics and lifts. They can put a converted bus on their lift and work on any part of the bus. And it's a family-owned dealership. And if you're stuck, you want to put that down in your notes. If you need supplies, they got the largest parts and accessory store in Maine.
Okay.
I don't know. What other questions you got for us?
Well, so speaking of Class A's and big diesel pushers and stuff, I always think, compared to, I don't know, Montana or Texas like we're used to, those states are also little. And I think of them as being forested and sort of crowded. So is it difficult to find big campsites for big rigs? Is it more suited to smaller rigs, or I just have a distorted view?
Well, especially in Maine, in most of the states, they've been camping here for 100 years, so they do take everything. It's not unusual to see a pop-up camper next to a $3 million bus. Well, they can take them both.
Okay,
well, that's good.
It's a good point, Peggy, but from southern Vermont to northern Vermont is 200 miles. So it's not like Rhode Island where you can, get from one end to the other in 20 minutes.
That's a good point. Here's our travel advisory. You tend to look at a map and you see 6 New England states and you think, I can go all over New England and do that. And if you're in Vermont and you want to go to Maine, there is no road that goes from Vermont to Maine. You can go north and south, but you can't go east and west. So you have to go from Vermont down to the Mass Pike, across the Mass Pike, up 93 or 95 through New Hampshire to get into Maine. So it affects, because people will often say, we talk a lot about Maine, but Maine is the best kept travel secret in the United States. Make no mistake about it. But it's a long state, so you travel it quite a bit, John, from the Mass line to the Canadian border. What are you talking, 10 hours?
Oh, yeah. I got to go to Augusta, Maine tomorrow, and that's 200 miles.
That's 2 or 3 hours from Portland.
Right.
So you got about a 6-hour drive.
100 miles from here. But Maine is huge. Once you get north of Portland, you're only going to see a couple bigger cities, Augusta and Lewiston. But they're not real big cities when you compare them to cities in the Midwest.
Sure.
If you compare, when you look at the forums and the chat rooms, somebody will put something up and say, we want to go to Maine this summer. We want to go camping in Maine. Where should we go? Well, to John's point early on, do you want to go to the mountains or do you want to go to the ocean? Do you want to eat at McDonald's or do you want to, bake stuffed lobster dinner for $100 at one of the restaurants in Portland? So, we want to be fair to your viewers, but New England, and you're right, Peggy, it is 6 small states, but there's so damn much to do in the 6 states. My advice to people always is pick out one state. Pick out one, especially if you're coming from the south or the west or whatever.
We did 2 of them this weekend. We started in Friday night. We were in New Hampshire, and Saturday night we were in. And Saturday we were in Maine. We took the Amtrak train up to Freeport, and ended the night in Seabrook, New Hampshire, at a Walmart. If there's anything you want to do, you can do in New England.
It's a place we need to get to and just haven't yet.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I need to get up there. That's the bottom line. And have lobster rolls.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is a KOA Cranberry Acres, just before you go over to Cape Cod. And if you go up to you get to see the whole JFK library where they've duplicated the Senate. They have the exact model of the U.S. Senate, so that you can sit there and see how they conduct business. Of course, they're not conducting business today. They're sitting on the steps of Congress doing nothing. But other than that, everything in there is actually on microfilm and scan. Because when I had my imaging company, we were the company that scanned all those records and created the archives for them. So we know the stuff is there. Every birth and death going back to, I think it was 1820 when they started to record some of the stuff is online. In fact,
Bob's in it. Bob's in the second class. 1820.
You're one of the records.
I was born into it, yeah.
So there's plenty to do.
We could talk for a week on New England.
Well, that's why we wanted to have you. And I mean, I think this is some great insider tips and things to do. And as we maybe dive deeper, we might see, if you're available again and go, okay, what about this or that? Because I think, you've already given us reasons to go as if we didn't have any already.
Well, next time you run into Traveling Robert, ask him. He was up last summer and summer before, and he's got some nice video. In fact, he's got one I think is just dedicated to Maine, and one in New England in general. But and those are fresh. He was just here last year doing that.
Yeah, I just watched one Sunday. I think it was about Salem, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
So,
yep. He did that last fall. He did go to Salem. Yeah.
That man puts a lot of miles on his vehicles, because now he's coming to the Overland Expo, and so hopefully I can hoist a beer with him. And he just helped us. Is
he bringing his Winnebago motorhome or his Winnebago trailer? I haven't figured out. I don't think he got rid of the trailer, but he's got a Class C Trend.
Right.
He also helped us rewrite our theme song.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember reading about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a very good guy.
Of course, you do realize if any of the influencers or people in the industry want to come into New England, they have to call John and Bob first, and we give them special credentials to come in and explore the RV opportunities up here.
Good to know.
That's good to know.
I bet you didn't know that.
No. I was not aware.
If you're a history buff, like 2 weeks ago was the 200th anniversary of the start of the American Revolution, and we were there at 5 o'clock in the morning with the first shot heard around the world.
Wow.
We're putting that together right now, editing that baby up.
Let us know, because we'll share that too.
That's in Lexington and Concord.
Yeah, I think there's so many reasons you could go there. I mean, the food, the history, just the
mountain climbing, the zip lining.
We didn't talk sports, but if you come in the summer, you have to go to Fenway Park because it's one of the first baseball fields in the country now.
I think it's the oldest one now.
Here's a piece of trivia. Do you know when Fenway Park opened up?
No.
The day the Titanic sank.
Really?
Oh.
Wow, 1912.
You said, give me some gems.
There you go.
That's a good one.
1912.
Did anybody sink a ball into right field?
Oh, boy.
Oh, good time. Good.
Do you know about the red chair in right field?
No.
You don't. In right field bleachers, all the chairs are green, except for one. It's red, where Ted Williams hit the longest home run in the history of inside Fenway Park. But now let me give you a second gem. Very few know this. The longest home run hit out of Fenway Park legally was done by a guy named Joe Zagami from home plate over the right field wall. And the Red Sox refused to acknowledge it. I've written to them. It's my uncle. He played minor league ball in Oneonta, and he came up to the big leagues. And unfortunately, being of Italian descent, he met an umpire that didn't like Italians, apparently.
Oh.
So I'll stop the story there, but let's just say Joe never finished out his baseball career. But he hit and he was in high school when he did it.
Wow.
Before he came up to the Sox, it was a high school tournament there. But you look at the baseball reference encyclopedia, you'll see his name and his short career.
Yep. There you go.
Well, I think we have some really great reasons to come visit, and hopefully when we do, we can buy you a lobster roll or a beer or a drink of Jack Daniels or
a coffee.
Yeah. So we really appreciate your time, and
Always glad to talk RVs.
Yeah, us too. Well, have a wonderful rest of your day, and thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Take care.
My pleasure.
Bye now.
Okay, are you excited? You ready to go to New England?
I've
Eat
heard
the lobster rolls and
vacations can be murder.
Well, there is that. Now, we are not suggesting you go to New England to get murdered, obviously.
Oh gosh, or do any murdering on your own. Or
be any part of any kind of a crime. But Dawn Barclay has compiled for you an entire book of places that you, if true crime is something that you like to travel and check out and see, Dawn has written a book that's a guide to true crime locations in New England. Not true crime hints and tips. Just places that you can go to check out locations of true crime, law enforcement, even paranormal, graves and tombstones, and just all kinds of stuff.
I do want to say this is a departure for us.
Yeah.
It can get a bit grisly, I guess.
A little macabre, a little grisly. So today we have something different for us. Author Dawn Barclay is here with us, and she wrote a book called Vacations Can Be Murder. This is a beginning of a series, but Dawn, thank you so much for hanging out with us today and letting us know about some interesting places to be visited in New England.
Well, thank you. It is the first book of a series of what I think will be 10 books. The subhead of the book is Vacations Can Be Murder, a true crime lover's travel guide to New England. So yes, this book covers the 6 states of New England, but other books will be following.
That's so exciting.
As an author, have you done other series, or is this your first series? Or
I've written standalone fiction, which means they're not series, even though 3 of my books are set in a fictional real estate company called Rock Canyon Realty, but they're not related. And I've written one other standalone travel book, which dealt with traveling with children on the spectrum, called Traveling Different. And this is the first series I'm tackling that is nonfiction.
A lot of your fiction is like murder mysteries and stuff, right?
Psychological, domestic, and romantic suspense. There's always somebody dead.
So people are dying to be written into your books.
They are.
How did you come about the focusing on the vacations? Because, I mean, we've had killer vacations in the past, but...
Well, I've always been a travel writer. I wrote for many years for various travel trade magazines, and so I'm a veteran travel journalist. I wrote mostly about the business of travel. And so when I wrote my first nonfiction book, it was, as I said, a niche travel book about traveling with children on the spectrum. And when I was looking for other opportunities for nonfiction, they were always going to come from the perspective of travel. So there hadn't been any books written like this. I was in Minneapolis for a convention called VoucherCon, which is the World Mystery Writers Convention. And I went on a true crime tour of Minneapolis and St. Paul, and I enjoyed it. And I thought, I wonder if there are any books that list all the true crime tours around the country. And that was the seed for the idea for this series.
That's great. And you started out with the seed of writing a book about the country, and then you realized there's way too many for one book, right?
Yeah, originally it was going to be one book. And then when I actually started writing, I think Maine, I said, to my publisher, I think it's going to be 3 books. I think it's going to be East Coast, Midwest, and West Coast. And then I started writing more, and I said, nope, it's probably going to be about 10 books.
One for every state.
I got to tell you that New York had so much crime that I had to kick out 3 states from the Mid-Atlantic book, which is coming out in August. And so that book is just New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania.
Wow.
So do you get to go to these places as part of the research, or what's that process like?
That would kill me, actually. I have not gone to I mean, when I'm in town, I see some of the places that I write about. I'm traveling to Florida in a couple of weeks, and I'll be stopping at haunted restaurants and hotels to check them out, but that's not the main purpose of the trip. I did extensive research through old newspapers, books, case law, and historical societies who I contacted when I couldn't get the information I needed other ways. So there was a lot of research. The bibliography is about 500 different entries. It's 40 pages, just the bibliography. So yeah, I did a lot of research.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow.
I will say that when I was in Pennsylvania, I went to the Eastern State Penitentiary, and that was really interesting, and I did include my thoughts about that when I wrote up Pennsylvania. I also had gone to the Mutter Museum, which is a lot of medical oddities, and even though it doesn't necessarily fit right into this kind of book, I figured that the people who would be interested in true crime might be interested in the macabre aspect of the Mutter Museum, so I included that.
Right.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
So your books have true crime, some kind of law enforcement aspect to it, and graves and tombstones, but also some paranormal?
Yeah, I included hotels that were either hotels and restaurants that are either crime and justice related, or they are haunted. And along with the true crime tours, I included ghost tours.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
When there's a soul that's not at rest, perhaps, there was some evil doing behind that.
Not having read it yet, of course, is there a travel aspect like, hey, you should see this because of that? So sort of bringing actual travel into the book in addition to the fiction aspect of it?
Well, there's no fiction in the book. This is totally nonfiction travel guide. It's a travel companion.
Oh, blimey. Okay. Oh.
I start off every state by listing some of the crime statistics that have to do with that state. And then I give brief synopses of each of the major crimes that I found that were of interest that I've chosen to include. And then I have, because those are so limited, because I only had so much space to write, I also include lists of books that you can read to learn more. And then I list the hotels and restaurants that are either crime and justice related or haunted, and I list the museums that might be and other attractions that might be of interest, and then I list jails and who's incarcerated there or who was incarcerated there, and then I include the cemeteries where everybody's buried, down to the plot number when I have them. And then I put everything together into easy to follow itineraries so that you're not backtracking. I've broken up each state into several different areas, but you can, do a 1 to 3 day tour. And I tell you as you go along, while you're here, you may want to stay at this haunted restaurant, stay at this haunted hotel. You might want to eat at this crime and justice related restaurant. And then at the end, I include victim resources. If, God forbid, you're a victim of a crime, you know where to turn.
Right.
Oh, what a fantastic way to plan an adventure.
Yeah, yeah.
It's soft adventure. I think 2025 is going to be the year of the staycation because of what's going on with the economy. And I think this is a very affordable way to have a soft adventure and, learn some history and feed into if you're a paranormal lover or you're a true crime lover, you're feeding into those passions.
Right, right.
Well, we know as podcasters, true crime is super, super hot right now.
Yeah. Well, also, as campers, are there, if we go to that part, when we go to that part of the country, are there like campgrounds we should avoid because there's...
I don't have any campgrounds that you should avoid. I mean, I can tell you about, I have some information about crimes that happen in campgrounds. I even have cannibals in New York.
Oh, man.
Gosh.
Hey,
oh, boy.
Peggy, what's eating you?
Okay, so this is the first, and you said the next one is the New York area? New
York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. But what I should add is that in In the snippets, I don't include the exact addresses of everything, but in the itineraries, I do. So you'll have addresses of major parts of the story. If it's a office building or an apartment building, you'll have the exact address. And if it's a private home, you'll have the block number, like the 100 block of Main Street, but not the exact house number.
I mean, really
because those people don't want people throwing pizzas on their roof.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
A couple of things. If people want the books, they're available on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, at bookshop.org. You can get your library to order them because they're on Ingram, so that's where libraries order them from. And that's fine. If you want your library to stock them, that would be great. But also, if you are a true crime or paranormal traveler and you would like to have, or to share your story and be profiled on my blog, which is vacationscanbemurder.com, I welcome people to contact me so I can tell your story or interview you and include the story. And if you have pictures, I'll include those as well.
Great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. Well, we look forward to the next book.
This is what the cover looks like.
And your website, I'll put a link to it because you have a couple, right? I have dmbar.com,
which is my fiction website, and Vacations Can Be Murder is the website for this book. Or this series.
That's something I know people are going to want to see. That's
for sure. Yeah.
That's I think right up our listeners' alley, at least some of them. But don't read these in the dark.
If they're driving through, it gives them somewhere interesting to travel to and visit.
Yeah, or places to avoid.
Yeah, okay.
Either way, buy the book and find out, for gosh sakes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time and for your books, of course. We really appreciate you hanging out with us and letting us know about this, and we look forward to reading that book and all 10 of the coming up ones.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dawn. I don't know what you thought of that, but one of the places to share and to weigh in on anything is our Facebook group, which has really remained fun and friendly and very informative. If you would like to, we always appreciate your feedback. Yeah. You can email us, you can message us on all the social platforms, but one of our favorite ways is in our Stressless Campers Facebook group, which is a pretty fun, friendly group.
So you know also that we have a once-a-week newsletter that is totally, completely, and absolutely free, and it has links to stories and videos and podcasts and other things out there in the world that we think will help you get the most of your RV experience.
Yeah, and know, of course, that we don't share your information ever, and we only send one email a week, and that's it. We try to put as much value in that as possible, and of course, it's completely free.
So you can sign up pretty much on any page of our website. And while you're on the website, you can also find the show notes for this episode 305 on the podcast page at stresslesscamping.com.
We also have, of course, our list of favorite RV products and services at stresslesscamping.com. People are always asking, I just bought a new camper. What should I get? We got ideas.
We got lots of ideas.
We will spend your money for you gladly.
Now, these are our favorites, but also a lot of them have offered discounts to our listeners. So please check it out. And, maybe there's something you want to buy that you can get a discount on. Yep.
Of course, we are in all the social places, but you can start at stresslesscamping.com and, check out what's there and then jump off to go be social.
Go be social. If you don't want to miss a future episode of the Stressless Camping Podcast,
it's free.
It's free to subscribe on any podcast catcher, and we are saving you a seat around our virtual campfire.
Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast app or whatever, to like and share and thumbs up if you're on YouTube and just all of that. Yeah, ring the bell, all
that
goofy
crazy stuff.
Yeah. So we do appreciate all that. And it tells YouTube people are actually watching and interacting with us, which makes YouTube or even the podcast apps makes them say, hey, people are actually listening to this? I mean, people are actually listening to this. Let's share it.
Yeah, liking and sharing and also writing reviews is very, very helpful to us, and we really appreciate when you do that.
Certainly.
So once again, as always, thank you so much for joining us this week. We hope you enjoyed our little departure. We will see you again next week, and until then,
Stressless camping.